Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics on Random. Berto is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, as usual. The word of the day today is Elizabeth Warren, our dear Elizabeth Warren, a true progressive. Many have been challenging me on YouTube. She is not progressive enough. Folks, this woman is a progressive with the talent and the what is the word that I want to use? And she has the plan for it more so than most. She is a very, very smart woman, and she really did her homework. Unfortunately, and again, I am not going to make any bones about it. I am a Bernie supporter because he is more left, because the policies that he supports are more in line with what I support, but I would have had no problems if Bernie did not make it to go ahead and vote unabashedly for Miss Warren. I've been getting a lot of pushback on YouTube, and I want to tell my YouTube followers with dignity and respect, we have to understand, gradation, and we need to understand as well that this woman did a lot for the movement. Include the symbiotic relationship that she had with Bernie Sanders. And as much as many of my peeps are saying, oh, look, she attacked Bernie Sanders. After all, folks, this is a contest. She wanted to win, and Bernie wants to win. But when it comes to values, do not ever think this woman didn't really believe that which she said. And this is from a former Bernie delegate. I hope to be one again. But Elizabeth Warren, when I made my list, she was right up there on my list as well. If Bernie didn't make it, that would have been my choice. And there are a lot of people that came to me, Egberto, I really like Elizabeth Warren. And some people used to come to me like, I like Elizabeth Warren. Are you going to not like me if I go for Elizabeth and not Bernie? I'm like, look, vote for your conscience. If you're a progressive, vote progressive. Don't vote your fears. We're going to get into the show in a minute. Welcome aboard, Kathleen Morin Morgan. We're going to get into the show. Folks on YouTube, welcome aboard. Those of you on YouTube, just send a hi so I can call you out and say, hey, welcome aboard. But here's the thing, folks. Here's what I really, really want to tell you. The media is on. The media is on the 24/7 Biden ad. The same thing that brought in that really I don't want to be presumptuous and say confused South Carolina. South Carolina, I mean, what Eddie Glaude had to, not Eddie Glaude, I forgot the name of the reporter who spoke about the black voters in South Carolina, the reason why they vote the way they vote, and he gave a very great explanation without sounding condescending as far as because of certain realities why the vote went that way. But a lot of that has to do with the messaging coming from the mainstream media, and they continue to do it. A lot of people don't quite see it. They just see it. They just think it is the natural progression and that is somehow reality. Right now, they are pushing a message. Don't you ever forget it. They're pushing. Welcome aboard, Paul Fleming. Welcome aboard. So anyhow, so let's go ahead and get into the show. Title of the show today is Elizabeth Warren exits. Will Bernie get her endorsement? Her supporters? Subtitle of the show, Elizabeth Warren suspended her campaign today. She will have a lot to say later. Bernie Sanders has praised her and started wooing her supporters. Will it work? I asked those supporters that are of Warren, that supported Warren. Many of you, because of a lot of inter-progressive fighting, which was unnecessary. If you listen to all the things that I've said, even when Elizabeth Warren sort of not backtracked on Medicare for All, but she went ahead and gave her plan for how it was about to receive, how it was going to be done. I was taken aback because what I thought she did is she allowed the mainstream media to corner her into saying something that she was not ready to say about Medicare for All. And not only that, but they preempted what needed to be negotiated as far as how fast this stuff should come to fruition. I felt that she should not have fallen for the media con on that. And it is after she put that out there, they had something fixed that they could put on her. Bernie Sanders, by the other token, he makes sure to talk in generalities. Better, if you notice, Donald Trump doesn't say anything exactly, just say things and the media accepts it, right? She said she's going to talk a whole lot about why is it that her scrutiny was different than others. Welcome aboard, Michael Rudnin. Scored third place in her own state. What a giant. Yes, there is a whole lot behind that. Again, Mr. Rudnin. Like I said, she was my second choice. I hate to see her go this early. A lot of people wanted her to leave so that to concentrate, so that we could get the race between Bernie and Biden. My thing is that maybe it may have been a bit too early because I don't know how many of this, her people are going to be ready to make the jump without her being able to make the case. Okay, Robert Watley says, let that, go. You all need to go ahead and hop on the Trump train and let's ride. Ha, 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 ha. Wow, that is kind of funny, Robert. Anyhow, subtitle of the show today is Elizabeth Warren suspended her campaign today. She will have a lot to say later. Bernie Sanders has praised her and started wooing her supporters. Will it work? Elizabeth Warren will not go quietly into the midnight. She intends to have her say. So she said in a little piece that I'm going to play in a minute. I hope Elizabeth Warren does not fall into the trap of not endorsing anyone or endorsing Joe Biden. Right now, the powers are trying to will Biden on us. As I wrote this little piece, it is probably best said in the words of Phyllis, one of our listeners. Shove him down our throats is what she says they want. Shove him down our throats. So Phyllis, you're exactly right about that. That is what they want to do with Joe Biden. But folks, we're not going to fall for it. Elizabeth should endorse Bernie Sanders. Elizabeth should endorse Bernie Sanders now. You cannot leave the left flank of the party, which if we go ahead and look at policies, the left flank of the party, based on what people say they want when polled, are the ones who are providing the policies that most of the party wants. Even as they don't think, even as some have run to Biden because of the scare tactics of the mainstream media led by the corporatocracy, that is what they say. So Elizabeth Warren, I hate to see Elizabeth Warren go, but now that she is going, it is imperative. Hello, Tasha Johnson from Dallas, Texas. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. So anyhow, let's go ahead and start with that. Let's go ahead and play that Elizabeth Warren piece, and then you guys tell me what you think about it. Let's go.
Elizabeth Warren suspended her campaign this afternoon, leaving two older white men at the top of the race for the party's nomination.
I wonder what your message would be to the women and girls who feel like we're left with two white men to decide between.
I know. One of the hardest parts of this is all those pinky promises and all those little girls who are going to have to wait 4 more years. That's going to be hard.
Can you talk a little bit about the role that you think that gender played in this campaign and in this race?
Gender in this race, that is the trap question for every woman. If you say, yeah, there was sexism in this race, everyone says whiner. And if you say, no, there was no sexism, about a bazillion women think, what planet do you live on? I promise you this, I will have a lot more to say on that subject later on.
Warren entered the race as the candidate with a plan for this, a plan for that, and a plan for basically everything else. She unleashed a progressive portfolio of policies, from a wealth tax to health care to student debt. At one point, she was considered the front runner until her momentum abruptly hit a wall in the fall, and she never recovered. She came in fourth in Iowa, third in New Hampshire, but it was Super Tuesday that dealt the senators' campaign the fatal blow. She failed to win a single state, even her own. Elizabeth Warren suspended her campaign this afternoon.
Yeah, she won except her own. Notice what she said. And I empathize with what she said there. The only woman left in the race, a lot of girls, a lot of women, just like during the Hillary Clinton time. Let me tell a story, okay? Back in 2016, I was a fierce Bernie Sanders supporter because, again, not a Bernie Sanders junkie, but somebody who believed in policy. Pat Jesus, welcome aboard from Periscope. Yeah, from Periscope. Don't fall into that. No, sir. No, sir. We don't ever give up on policy. We don't ever give up on a race until it's over. So no, my brother Pat Jesus, we Pat, or I don't know if it's Pat Jesus, whatever, however you want to call it. So no, it's not going to be stolen. Otherwise, there's going to be some issues. But anyhow, I was a supporter of Bernie Sanders in 2016. In fact, I was a delegate for Bernie Sanders in 16. And one of the things that I noticed is I could see in Hillary Clinton and a lot of my friends who are the baby boomer women in their late 40s, well, early 50s and 60s, 70s, they saw Hillary Clinton as that woman who could do it, that woman who did it ultimately, who actually won. Just missed it by 80,000 votes in states that she should have done some more work in. I mean, the fault isn't all Russia or Donald Trump and all of that. It is a lot of it had to do with hubris. But when Bernie, it was sure that Bernie was out and we had to coalesce. I coalesced around Hillary Clinton. Strongly, I supported, etc. And one of the reasons I did that, it wasn't only about Hillary Clinton and knowing that she would have been better than Bernie Sanders. It was an ode to women. Again, I couldn't have had my choice, but I could see within these women that expectation. It's almost the same thing like a Latino finalist seeing incarnated that yes, they can be, or a black person seeing incarnated after seeing President Obama that yes, it could be. And I am waiting for that time for women as well. That's why I said, as much as I'm a Bernie supporter, if Elizabeth was the one who came out on top, I would have been right there with the same kind of fervor supporting her, because I can see, and in the pain that you just saw in Elizabeth's eyes, it was like those little girls that saw themselves in me being president of the United States, finally at the top of the mountain, reaching the mountaintop. I understand those things. It's the same feeling you get when finally you see somebody that looks different in the White House. There are a lot of people that just cannot empathize to understand that. I do. And that is one of the reasons for all my friends, on YouTube and elsewhere, when they come out on me, well, why are you into Elizabeth and why do you have the nice words for her? First of all, she deserved the nice words. She's a very smart woman. In all the candidates that have run thus far, Elizabeth Warren's plans were more precise than any other person's plans. I am not, again, that wasn't enough for me to put her as my first choice, because I understand that it doesn't matter how precise your plans are at this stage of the game, much change occurs later on. And the fundamental policy position of Bernie Sanders is better for the college student, is better for the millennials, is better for older Americans who will have health problems going forward. It is better in every particular aspect with respect to the aspiration. So I understood that. But sadly, she is with us as a candidate, no more. No more. So what I'm saying to folks is this. First of all, the Bernie Sanders supporters, let's show some humility. Let's ask her, and it shouldn't be just Bernie asking her. Let's ask her to please not let the system try to claw her into the establishment of the party to support the person they're willing on us. Let's ask her so kindly, let's ask her so respectfully that she comes on board, and let's treat her supporters with respect and understand the pain of many of these people who, for those that are 70-somethings or 80-somethings, some of them are seeing, I am not going to see that woman president that we've had 2 strong opportunities to possibly elect. Let's have some compassion in understanding that, because I understood that when I supported Hillary when Bernie was no longer viable in after the convention, where I went as a supporter, as a a Bernie delegate. I understood that. I sat next to a woman. They had us intermixed. I sat next to a Hillary supporter as we sat in the booth, and I remember talking to her, and I could remember the passion in her eyes, that she just hoped that the Bernie Sanders folks would allow a smooth convention that wouldn't damage Hillary on her trek to become the first female president of the United States. And I looked at her and I said, you know what, I'm a strong Bernie supporter, but whatever I can do within our own delegation, I will try my best as a Bernie delegate. If things were going to get out of hand, I would try my best to talk to my Bernie compatriots and ask them so kindly, let's look at the big picture. And you know what? For the most part, we did. We had a little bit of problems in our delegation, but they were very receptive to not going overboard. And in California, as well, we had that issue. But let's again be very cognizant. Let's be very cognizant of being respectful to both Elizabeth Warren and her supporters now that she has left the race. We shouldn't have had to wait for her to leave the race to be kind. And you know what? I think most of us were very kind, and Bernie, above and beyond, always made sure, even when she had to come on an understandable attack on Bernie. Again, they're running a different race. Let's go ahead and be that way, folks. If you're listening to me on YouTube, you can always support us by going ahead and clicking that chat up, or what is it called? Top chat. Give us a top chat out there. Clicking on that $sign. That is something you can do to support the show. Okay. I have another video that I want to show you, and this is Bernie doing exactly what I am suggesting that we do with respect. And I'm going to play that one now, and check this out from Bernie. I think he was very respectful in the way he did it, because when you go ahead and follow item for item what Bernie is talking about, you see the symbiotic relationship between Bernie and Elizabeth. And if Elizabeth were to go ahead and endorse Biden, I think at that point, it would really create a concern about the progressive values and what we stand for, or what she stands for, if that isn't done. Because again, when you listen to what Bernie is going to talk about, what the symbiosis between what they believe in, it is hard to see her even coming close to attempting to endorse Joe Biden. Check this out.
Reason that her campaign ideas will remain viable for many, many years is she has changed political consciousness in America, which at the end of the day is the most important thing that any candidate could do. What Senator Warren has successfully done is raise the issue of income and wealth inequality and the idea that we need a wealth tax in America. And some of you may have noticed that just a few days ago, Robert Rubin, former Secretary of Treasury under Bill Clinton, said, you know what? Sanders and Warren are talking about a wealth tax. Maybe that's something we have to consider. And these are a titan from Wall Street. Senator Warren has been very strong in understanding that the current health system is dysfunctional. She had differences of opinion with me about how to best go forward, but she remained a staunch advocate for Medicare for all. And believe me, that issue will become more and more apparent to the American people as we deal with this coronavirus and the idea that there are millions of people in America today who are unable to go to a doctor even when they have symptoms of this terrible illness because they have no insurance, they don't have any money. And what Senator Warren has said from day one, and what I say, is that health care is a human right. We should not be spending twice as much per capita on health care as the people of any other nation and have 87 million uninsured or underinsured just to make huge profits for the drug companies and the insurance companies. Senator Warren has been strong on that. Senator Warren has been very strong in making it clear that we have a corrupt political system in which billionaires are buying elections. And right now, what you're seeing is Wall Street opening up its checkbook to Joe Biden. You're seeing Mike Bloomberg, worth some $60 billion, prepared to support Joe Biden. And that is what a corrupt political system is. What democracy is one person, one vote. What a corrupt political system is billionaires buying election. And Senator Warren has been very, very strong on that. And Senator Warren obviously has been very strong on the issue of women's rights. And right now we know that throughout this country, women are under political assault. We're seeing it at the Supreme Court level. We're seeing it at the state legislative level. We're seeing it in Congress, where you have politicians who want to take away, among many other things, a woman's right to control her own body. And Senator Warren has been a leader in fighting to protect women's rights. So today is a difficult day for Senator Warren. I have known Senator Warren for some 20 years, and she is very focused, very disciplined, very hardworking. And today I would simply say to her supporters out there, of whom there are millions, we are opening the door to you. We'd love you to come on board. Together, I think we can win this primary process. Together we can defeat the most dangerous president in the modern history of America. So to all of Senator Warren's supporters, we would welcome them to be on board.
Okay, so I think, Senator, I can't believe Bernie, Senator Sanders, I think is doing a great job, or did a great job, in showing that symbiotic relationship and policies that they have. All those policies together pretty much tells you something. I mean, coronavirus is, I want to kind of segue away here, because Michael Rudnin it brought up something here about the coronavirus. I just from the name of the hyperlink, it's interesting, right? But I think he's right, if I'm understanding what he's trying to promote here, and that is this coronavirus thing is one classic example why, especially in a mobile world, you need to have Medicare for all, where people should never have to be concerned that in order for them not to have a disease where they're spreading it to others, they have to feel free to just walk into an office and be able to be checked to see if they have this virus that makes them rather contagious and make them a walking weapon. So Michael Rudnin, I'll read that later, but thank you for bringing Mike Rudnin, we had missed Michael Rudnin for a very long time, because he has always been our researcher in chief for bringing all these articles to us in real time. So thank you, Michael. But yeah, I hope that the candidates start to make that case, that in this new world where people travel by air throughout the world at lightning speeds, by the time something is found out, by the time the coronavirus is discovered here in the United States, it's already spread all over the place, which is probably the reality that we're seeing right now. Only Medicare for All can justify that. Somebody in Florida decided, oh, I'm feeling sick, I need to go test myself for the coronavirus. Went ahead to get a test, $3,000. Again, folks, the evil within the system that we have. And for those that are, somebody said, I don't remember who told me, they said like, it was a tweet. And I should find the tweet because it's from it was one of those guys on MSNBC, a guy that I respect quite a bit. He sent out a tweet that I usually don't respond to a lot of these tweets, but I responded to this one because it kind of upset me because what he wanted to say, or not what he wanted to say, what he said was that there's a problem with folks like us. And when I say folks like us, let me read the tweet that he sent out. It's Jelani Cobb, and I respect Jelani Cobb dearly. I think he's a very smart guy. He usually is on point. But he said, last thing, one of the most off-putting traits I've noticed within Sanders' movement is the presumption that only they are acting in good faith and altruism. No one else can be sincere and concerned about others while supporting another candidate. It's been a bad look. I understand what he's saying. I understand what he's trying to say, and I get that sometimes from some of the folks, even on my YouTube channel or elsewhere, when I come and say I support Elizabeth Warren as well because Elizabeth Warren has good values, good policies, etc. People would get on my cases, well, Elizabeth Warren isn't progressive enough. No, Elizabeth Warren is a progressive. Elizabeth Warren's plans are written out, and you read her plans. You read even her plans on what is it? Capitalism. What is it called? Accountable capitalism. Read it. Accountable capitalism is just a new name for all practical purpose for a lot of what we're asking for in democratic, and I'm not going to use the other word because I promised myself I was going to stay away from it. So what he's saying is like a lot of the Trump supporters have a tendency to believe that, well, they accuse others who are not seeing it their way for of being bad. I don't. My answer to him was succinct. If a candidate knowingly, and notice I'm talking mostly about candidates because candidates and the plutocracy and the media can really frame things that fool people into doing things against their own interests. So check this out. What I responded to him was as follows. If a candidate knowingly supports policies that kill, the sentiment is apropos. The data says Biden is doing so knowingly, and a lying Trump will effectively make the case, as it is quite easy. Followingly, I said, to be clear, in these times where our healthcare system is decimating Americans financially and health-wise, willful ignorance on patching a fatally flawed system is not only an intellectual deficiency, but a moral one. God help us. Then I said, the problem is that 20% of the country that have great corporate insurance and control the media are the guardians of selective misinformation. Any wonder many Americans vote against their own interests? It is sad. It is sad. So what I'm trying to say is I understand a lot of people, even some Biden supporters will say, well, just because we don't feel all the same, the leftist thing that you guys want to do, both Bernie and Elizabeth, doesn't mean that we are bad or immoral. It doesn't mean that you personally are bad or immoral, but the leader that you're following is. Because they know the policies that they're talking about doesn't go as far as our policies, even as we can afford them. Even as we can afford them. By the way, Michael Rudnin, what I was just reading wasn't an article that I read. Those were my words in response to somebody on Twitter who had a statement about Bernie supporters, and I just went ahead and answered them on Twitter. So maybe I'll post a Twitter in a blog or something so you can see it. But thank you, brother. Anyhow, so folks, it is important for us, right? It is imperative for us to respect the citizens. You notice when I talk about the black voters in South Carolina being the stopgap measure for moderation in for supporting the centrists and moderates in the in the Democratic Party. I made sure to do that with respect, but that is exactly what they did. They were that catalyst the mainstream media needed to take a little thing and run. You know, a catalyst is a little bit of chemical, right, that you may put into a process, and it causes that process to explode because that starts off the process, and that is what South Carolina did, right? South Carolina started the process because it gave Biden a false plausibility, and they took that and run. And if you notice the difference between the votes that occurred previous to South Carolina, you had people trying to run to the polls because the media had them all scared. And finally, we may really have a winner. We may really have a winner. And that winner has to be Biden because, you know, Bernie Sanders is that democratic socialist. That's what we have to have. And people get that in their head, and they want to get rid of Trump so badly that they make all kinds of decisions just based on that impulse. So what has to be done in the next few days is that impulse for a false winner has to be mitigated, has to be attenuated before Michigan and Mississippi and these other states, because it's a false reality, as I explained yesterday. It's a false reality that Biden, who is likely to have a bumbling, many kinds of bumbling debates. My gut feeling is that if he were to become the nominee, there won't be any debates. Mr. Trump is going to say, yeah, might as well not have any debate. And Biden will say, oh, yeah, let's not have any debates, man. So I think it is so important. I think it is so important for us to get it right. Now, Zerlina Maxwell, another MSNBC pundit, that I really like her because she most of the time is fearless in the way she addressed a lot of the info that they put out there on MSNBC and other stations. Now, I don't agree with her all of the times because sometimes I still think that she's sometimes come across a little bit too establishment. And I think for most Americans right now, that's a clear and present danger. But I love what she had to say with respect to Elizabeth Warren. This is something that can be said about Elizabeth Warren. This is something that can be said about people of color, etc., etc., etc. So check out this little piece that I did with Zerlina, and then we'll take it on the other side. Check it out. Zerlina Maxwell went on MSNBC today and justifiably got upset for the reasons behind why Elizabeth Warren did so poorly and also is exiting the Democratic race this early. She made some very, very solid points. And what I want to do is play it, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Zerlina, I will start with you. Do you think that if Elizabeth Warren were Michael Warren and was a man, same age, same bio, that we would be having this conversation?
No, she would have done much better if she were a man. And I say that because it's not just that her campaign was explicitly feminist in terms of the progressive positions on policy. She hired feminists. Black ones. And I think that got lost in the conversation because there's so much focus on the principal and the candidates themselves. But the makeup of your staff is a reflection of how you value those constituencies. If you hire all white male consultants, you are going to have plenty of blind spots for lived experiences that are not white and male. I think that this is a moment where we really have to take a deep look into the cultural reasons why this is happening. This doesn't necessarily have anything to do with any of the specific mistakes Elizabeth Warren made, because Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders make plenty of those, and they're still in the race. I think that women, they do not have as much space to make those mistakes. They are taxed more when they make mistakes, and it's harder for them to gain traction in fundraising and organizing. Additionally, I think I find it interesting. We have never had a woman president, and for some reason, it seems like only women are concerned about this fact. And I would like more men to be vocal about the fact that they want to see women in positions of leadership. Don't say, "Oh well, we can just pick Kamala as the vice president." Why does a woman have to settle for the number 2 job?
For the record, I want to see women in positions of power.
Well, I think it's important that you say that. You articulate it, you vocalize it, you you don't have to support Elizabeth Warren. I want more men to do what you just did, which is say, I would like to see women in positions of leadership, and not just when they get daughters and discover that women are people.
Not just when men get daughters and discover that women are people. But Zerlina is absolutely right on everything that she said. But I want to add something to that, because right now Zerlina has a voice on MSNBC, and it's great that she's using that voice on MSNBC to put that message out. It is great that she got two men that she's talking to say, yes, we want to see women hold power again. But that same institution that she is with right now is that institution that is fomenting an indoctrination within the American populace at large that is doing something very special. There are more women voters than there are men voters. And the fact that we have many women and none of them were able to break through subsequent to Hillary Clinton. And let's be clear, Hillary Clinton proved that in as much as this is a sexist, misogynist country, that women can win. She won the popular vote. There are some issues with Michigan, with Pennsylvania, and with Wisconsin that she didn't tie up the knots. But we do have enough people who understand the power of women, and that women can lead just as well, if not better, than men. So yes, there is an issue with how the country chooses its elective officers, and there is an issue with the staffing, as she mentioned. I have a bias towards Bernie Sanders. Yes, I was also a supporter of Elizabeth Warren. Here's the thing. Bernie Sanders' staff, I went to Nevada and canvassed with Bernie Sanders. And guess what I saw? I saw Nina Turner as one of his most prolific spokespersons. I saw a black doctor, one of the major proponents and pushers of Medicare for All. I saw many Latinos and everybody else within that organization working to make a better way for us all. The Biden campaign and these other campaigns that talk about getting the black support, and the news media that makes it seem not supporting Biden created issues or would create a negative effect on many populations at large. These are indoctrinative policies that are pushed by that media that you're admonishing and that needs to be admonished. So let's get clear here. Women are just as powerful, if not more so, than men. But we have to acknowledge that the same media, that the same systemic issues that create a power in a particular class, in a particular group, is what we all should be fighting. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for doing your part for exposing this. But we have a hell of a lot more to do. All right, folks, the telephone number is 646-716-5812 if you'd like to call in and make a statement on, first of all, on Elizabeth Warren as leaving the race, or on any other issue. You know, this is your show. 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Before I go to the board and start checking out the see what you have to answer, I want to suggest to you, I want to ask you so kindly to become subscribers to Politics Done Right. You can support Politics Done Right in one of many different manners. You can go ahead and go to our store.politicsdoneright.com, and get a t-shirt. I support independent media, and we have a whole lot of other t-shirts there with a lot of other cool things on it. But alternatively, what we would love for you to do, what we would love to urge you to do, is to please become a subscriber of our program. Show that independent media can work for us all. We understand that right now the mainstream media is really doing us harm. What they're doing is they're trying to push candidates on us to serve a particular group, a particular interest, as opposed to the populace at large. So there's a link. Go to Patreon, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Again, that is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Alternatively, you can assist us in getting our equipment upgrade by going to gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. Again, that is gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. upgrade. And of course, you can always contribute either one time or monthly at our, what is it called? PayPal.me/politics done right. Again, that is PayPal.me/politics done right. But don't forget also, get those t-shirts, get those cups, get those books. And what books am I talking about? You know what? The way we're going to take this stuff over, I wrote this book a while back. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. That book, I promise you, if you read this book, you'll understand a lot of what I'm talking about. And the lies that people tell about us being some crazy lefties will be made quite clear in an English that you can understand. Not an economist English, but in an English that you can understand and see why. Oh, wait a minute. I even talk about the baker and why it makes more sense to have money at the bottom, because that baker, that small businessman is powerful. That small businessman means so much more to the economy if we have hundreds of thousands of them instead of just these mega corporations that are accumulating wealth on your backs. It's amazing. It is amazing that that so much of this stuff that would help the middle class, would make a more vibrant, equitable economy. It is amazing how little of that is presented to the American people by a vast media that spends a lot of time on reality TV. Folks, if you're just joining us, please go ahead and share these programs, not only now, but ongoing as you see them. Please share this program. If you're on right now, I forgot to ask earlier on, please share these programs right away. If you want to call in, give us a call at 713. Give us a call, and the phone is on the screen right now. But for those of you that are listening on Periscope, on YouTube, or elsewhere, the number is 646-716-5812. If you are on YouTube and you'd like to go ahead and give us a super chat, just look at that $ down below by the message. Click on it and give us a super chat. Show us that you like what we're doing. Let us know that, hey, you know what? We're going to make sure that you can continue to do this on and on, because especially now, especially with the control of the media under all these different entities, we are going to need this. I want to bring you something else, because if you doubt what we're talking about with the corporatocracy, et cetera, what I want to bring to you is, let me go ahead and bring up the blog of the, it's not, actually not, I don't want to bring up the blog of the week. What I want to bring up is an article from Common Dreams. It's very important. But if you want to call in, 646-716-5812, 646-716-5812. Let me put that on the screen right now. If you take a look at this article, the title of the article is, What do you need to know? Health insurance stocks drive Wall Street rebound on Biden Super Tuesday win. And if you take a look at that article, you see exactly what we're trying to talk about. I want to remind you of something, because this is very important. In the days of when the healthcare bill passed, right? Some reason I can't get it to come up on there. I must not have done the link correctly. But in the days of Obamacare, when Obamacare got passed, guess what happened? The stocks went through the roof. The healthcare stocks went through the roof. And you have to ask yourself the question. These guys were so much against any kind of healthcare, universal healthcare. But then they helped folks write the bill. And in as much as we had a veto-proof, the Democrats had a veto-proof majority in the Senate. One guy from Connecticut, I can't remember his name right now, he came out on TV and said he's not supporting the bill if it has the public option in it. So right then and there, the thing that they thought would make the Affordable Care Act more competitive from the insurance standpoint, he stopped it cold. It wasn't a Republican. We had a veto-proof majority. It was a Democrat who decided that he was going to stop the public option. Now that Medicare for All is getting a whole lot of traction and most Americans want Medicare for All, guess what is happening? Now that that is the case, what is happening now is that, oh, let's go for the public option, because if we don't get the public option now, it's going to be Medicare for All that people are going to be fighting for, and they're going to command their people to pass it, and they won't have an excuse not to. So now that now that we've seen the damage the insurance company has done to the Obamacare, and by the way, Obamacare didn't start going south just because. Yes, Donald Trump made it a lot quicker. Its slow descent, but it started way before. All in 2015, prices are 2014. Prices were going through the roof in certain areas. These deductibles have been crazy. Okay, let's be clear. It's not the Republicans who screwed up Obamacare. Obamacare was designed on a flawed concept of allowing private insurance to be the ones who set the parameters. Don't ever forget that. So when they make it look like Bernie Sanders saying, as far as our plan, everybody's on the same, the payment for the plan. Not you go see whatever doctor you want. You get whatever drugs your doctor say you need. You go to whatever hospital your doctor is working at. No insurance company is there to be your slave master. Right now, when they say, we want to give Americans choice. Americans need the choice to have whichever health insurance company they have. Let me ask you a question. If you were in the South, living in the South, with 10 plantations, would you not still be a slave if you had the choice of which plantation you wanted to work on? Well, it is time for us to understand what insurance companies are. Insurance companies are nothing more than your plantations. And what they gave you is you get the choice to determine which plantation you want, which master you want. It is nothing more, nothing less. You decide who will screw you. You take insurance company number one, they tell you, this is out of network, this is in network, this is a doctor you can use, you cannot have that medicine, you cannot have that procedure. And by the way, I don't want you to, friend of mine, good friend of mine, her husband had bladder cancer. And he waited a month to fight the insurance company because they just wanted to cut him up. When there were drugs, expensive drugs, unnecessarily expensive, but there were drugs there to cure him. But no, they wanted to slice up his body because it was less expensive. Right? And why do they want to do that? Because their goal is not to heal you. Their goal is to do as little for you as possible so they can maximize the income from their shareholders, their executive, etc. And I don't understand from those conservatives. Hello, Arkin. I'm going to salute everybody in a little bit. I can't understand. Even conservatives, why can't they understand that it is a fraud? It's a moral sin. It's a sin what private health insurance companies are, because they are there to hurt you as they maximize their profit. I mean, they don't want to hurt you per se. Come on, that's kind of silly, right? But they have no love for you. You are just a widget to bring income to a certain group of people. You do not put paying for health insurance in a private sector whose sole purpose is to maximize the profits for their shareholders. 832, you are on. 832, come on in. 832, you can talk. Okay, I guess you don't want to speak, 832? Okay. Oh, that's my fault, 832. I think I've off. All right, 832, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, this is Bruce.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing, my friend? Talk to me.
I'm doing good. First off, I want to remind everybody listening, and I've seen the numbers going up, that I think Egberto's doing a really good thing, and he's putting a lot out there, and that whatever we can do to help him, he deserves the help.
Wow, thank you, Bruce.
So beyond that, I want to backtrack a little bit. I just got driving in from someplace else, and I don't talk on the phone while I drive. But the first thing I wanted to say is, you remember when you were a delegate for Bernie, and I was not a Hillary fan, and I was never a Hillary fan not because whether she was a woman or not. I thought she had some good capabilities, but the things that determine who's going to get who's going to get nominated has to do with which party you're in and the power of the party.
Right.
It's a two-party system, and the party chooses that for some reason. And I think it's because people with a lot of funding choose the party to roll with the party. And so as long as we've got a two-party system, which we are destined to have for at least my lifetime, we're going to be where we are. But what we need to do is we need to get on the president's desk things that make him look like a fool or her look like a fool for not signing. And that means we've got to go after the deadlock in the Senate and stop that so that we can get things through there and we can get things onto the desk of the president that make reasonable sense, regardless of the party, but primarily because of that. So if you're going to give money, it's good to give it to the Democrat in the end, but I think it's going to be better to try and somehow to get out and canvassing or doing something in, what is it, Montana?
Montana and Washington and Michigan.
Yep. So those are the places, because it's about power. And I've been an Elizabeth fan for a long time. She says the right things. There's a middle of the road space with your holy grail with Medicare for all, that the transition has to take place in some reasonable way. But they worked it out with Medicare for all, and I'm enjoying that. And I'm sure that it's workoutable for true Medicare for all, rather than just Medicare for us old guys.
Wow.
So everybody keep helping Egberto a little bit, and let's get him. We want to get his TV show onto like Xfinity or something, so he's on a channel that people can just push a button for and find him on.
Bruce.
So thanks a lot, Egberto.
Look, brother, I appreciate that, and thank you so much for the call, and thank you so much for your wisdom as well, sir. You have a wonderful day, Bruce.
Okay, everybody, live long and prosper.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Love Bruce. Hey, folks, let me tell you, he's a very wise guy, and he understands the healthcare issue very well. So, folks, please, 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 please. First of all, I want to tell you, I wanted to read the title of this thing first. What more do you need to know? Health insurance stocks drive Wall Street rebound on Biden Super Tuesday win. Health insurance industry stocks surge Wednesday morning in the wake of former Vice President Joe Biden's strong showing in the Democratic presidential primary Super Tuesday contest, opening up 600 points after traders appeared to bet the candidate's resurgence would box out any chance of single-payer universal health care. In other words, these companies know that if Biden is the person elected, that you Americans are not going to get the health care coverage that you need. So their stocks go up. You know, when we talk about evil, when Jelani Cobb said what he said in the Twitter, the reason I got upset when I read his tweet was it behooves me that intelligent people don't get it. These are intelligent people. They're smart. But like I said, if you have 20% of Americans that control mostly everything, and these are from average workers in the 20% all the way up to executives, right? 0.1% are extraordinarily rich, 1% super rich, and all of that. But 20% are living just fine. Great insurance from the corporations. They have all these things. So first of all, they don't feel the pain of 80% of the rest of the people. I remember when my daughter was driving. She had a job between her breaks at medical school. She had a job in driving through Ohio to get these doctors to do different things, right? And my daughter called me sort of in shock. She had never seen the kind of poverty as she saw in Appalachia, in the Ohio portion of Appalachia and other places in Appalachia. She was like mind blown. You know, my daughter grew up here in Kingwood, and, you know, we have Houston. There aren't ghettos in Houston that look like what she saw in Appalachia. And my daughter was in shock. She's like, Dad, you'd not imagine what I saw here. And these are people that if we talk to them, if we open up to them, if we let them know that, hey, you're my brother and my sister, man. And living like that isn't living. And there's a lot more to offer, but they're insular. They're in these little towns in the hills and all these places, and that's all they know. Everything that they see on TV is something never to aspire from, it's just to entertain. But they are Americans, and they contribute to society like everybody else, right? So the thing is, my statement holds. When we unite Appalachia, the ghettos, and the barrios, stereotypical, yes, but when those are united, we would have beaten the plutocracy. And it could have been now. If we could get a Bernie and not just a Democratic Senate, but a progressive Democratic Senate, a progressive Democratic House, which is easier, a progressive Democratic House, we could get things done for the average American citizen. We could. We just have to not fall for the crap on TV that they cut from the Powell Manifesto. They are there teaching you that your wants and your needs are not something we can afford, but somehow we can always afford the wars. Somehow we can always afford anything. The big tax cut for people who really don't need it. Economics 101 tell you that you put the money at the bottom because you get circulation of money, because those who don't have much money spends it immediately. The acceleration of money is what gives us an economic blast. It's not rocket science, but we're dealing with a selfish people, a people who need the class separation so that some can live like kings and queens. So brothers and sisters, today's show was supposed to cover Daniel, my friend Daniel, president of Indivisible Houston, but because of Elizabeth Warren's exit from the race, I had to cover this subject today, and I wanted to put it into perspective. And I think respect for Elizabeth Warren dictated that I do a show on Elizabeth Warren, a progressive warrior. For those of you who hate me for saying that, you can hate me today, love me tomorrow. But I love the woman. I love what she stands for. I don't think she's a fake. Now, if she goes ahead and endorses Biden, I would have said she caved to a system that placed a hell of a lot of pressure on her. I pray to the being that she goes ahead and gives some momentum to Bernie Sanders. Help her folks support Bernie Sanders. Before I go, I want to kind of acknowledge everybody that's here. Ryan Winston, welcome aboard. Daniel Ledo, welcome aboard. Michael Rudnin, welcome aboard. Let's see. Rose Williams, welcome aboard. Our Arkin YTE13, welcome aboard. Rose Williams, who else who have I Ryan Winston, who am I missing here? Lee Grant, welcome aboard. If I miss you, forgive me. Daniel S, welcome aboard. Vamos a ver, King Mas. Pot Jesus, welcome aboard. Anybody else that I may? Paul Fleming, Kathleen, Marin Morgan. And I see I just got another message replying to, okay, great. You guys talk up there. Folks, I hope you enjoyed the show today. We are at the end of the show. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Hey, where's my thing? It looks like I got to do this again. Crystal Witch. You know why? I was just closing the show down, and then you came on, Crystal. So I guess that's the reason why I had problems closing the show down. But I'm closing it now. My name is Egberto Willies, and you know what? I am what? Out!